How long even is this? Hello everybody, my name welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 New Order as Yunnan. This is like my 4th time trying to start this intro because I've just had 4 different technical issues on my end, which is fantastic. But we are back, and we're hoping that there should be some sort of coup d'etat soon, right? We have the NPA, pretty powerful. We have the NRA, also extremely powerful. And like, it should happen. I don't think there's a way to avoid the coup. Like, maybe there is if you actually actively fight the rebels. But of course, we're not trying to do that. We're trying to have the rebellion. We're trying to start the war in China. And I don't know when that'll actually happen. Like, hopefully soon. You know, fingers crossed that happens sooner rather than later. Okay, the reassurance. And then I have a few... Censored press with state press only. Sounds great. The reassurance. When the warlords in the region surrounding Boshan came in for their conference with Wang Xiaoyun, Yunnan's economic czar, their faces showed various levels of concern. Some of them, less familiar with the way that Yunnan governments function, came in looking worried, afraid that their privilege would be arbitrated as part of the Goa Zhongwu's modernizations. Others, more acquainted with the government, were more sanguine. As Wang made their announcement, the face of the landlords became more and more relaxed. By the decree of Governor of Yunnan, General Lu Han, with the approval of the Governing Council, we, the government of Yunnan, believed in the rational and reasoned approach of the implementation of the modernization program set by His Excellency, the President Gao Zhongyu. One of the major corollaries of this doctrine is the avoidance of reckless and communistic exploration tactics. Land to the tiller and other such insane slogans, which lack an understanding of even the most basic economic and governments. They will have no hearing here. Therefore, it follows that by necessity that there will be neither seizures nor appropriations without the consent of the consultant. Landlords shall have their say, and we respect it at all costs. The landlords rose in applause. So, a little technical notes while we get started here is that I'm planning on kind of changing the YouTube schedule up to make sure we're actually uploading both series on the YouTube channel, and also making sure that we are actually uploading content in any capacity, because as you may know, if you are someone who works, is that sometimes when you get home from a long day of work, you're just kind of too exhausted after you make dinner and you take care of all the chores to, you know, do anything, which is unfortunately the kind of situation I find myself in. So I want to try to lessen that burden, because if I'm trying to be like, I need to record Russia and I need to record Yunnan, and I want to get both those videos out on the same day, it's a lot. And then you kind of sun your luck yourself into doing absolutely nothing. I'm sure some of you have been there. So the plan is that we're going to alternate days for series. So, you know, today is Saturday. I'm recording this like maybe like an hour or two before it goes up. Saturday, it'll be Yunnan, and then tomorrow will be Russia, and then Monday will be Yunnan, and then Tuesday would be Russia, so on and so forth, back and forth. Now, because there's going to be less videos per day, I mean, actually, it might be more. If I actually make one video a day, it'll actually end up being more videos. Let's be honest. But for the fact that we're going to try to alternate days, we are going to make the videos longer. So they're going to be about half an hour instead of the old 20 minutes. So hopefully that's kind of like a nice balance. And then on top of that, I'm going to... If you know, I used to have a Let's Play channel where I used to just... upload things that were not Hoi 4 related. I've kind of come to the realization that this channel is never going to probably get much larger than it is now. I think we got to be honest with that. So I'm not too concerned about the algorithm. So I'm probably going to start uploading all the Let's Plays from that channel onto this channel as well. It'll be a little bit later in the evening. It's not going to be, you know, prime time. Prime time will still be Hoi 4. But just to kind of add a little bit more variety to stuff, and also just to make sure there's actually at least something going live on the channel every single day. So hopefully you'll be happy with that. And if you're not happy with that, it's not a big concern of mine right now. But we'll see how that goes. Maybe it'll be great. Maybe it'll be horrible. But I hope you'll be there with me. Look the other way. Bye. I've told you this 1,000 times. That stuff will kill you. It's barely better than what we arrest the vagabonds with. Night patrols never were the most exciting of adventures for Kunming's finest. They were more likely to lay a jaywalker than an international terrorist. Lee tried his best not to drift away into blissful sleep. a battle in which he was losing. Oh, please, Bai scoffed. I didn't pay attention to history class much, but I don't remember tobacco causing the downfall of our nation. You never even showed up to Lee stopped, his ears perking up. Did you hear that? Sounds like banging. There we go, that's sound effects for you. Just a few doors down, where there was a car parked. The unmistakable sound of violence could be heard. Shattering ceramic, pain screams, primal yells. Something was going down. Bai shook out his daze. He drew his cigar out of the window instinctively. Bai reached for his Nambu and stumbled out of the car. This is the police, Lee knocked. Open up, Lee knocked again, practically slamming his knuckles into the red hardwood door. Nothing. Lee kicked the door down. Bai followed in hot pursuit. In the dining room, a burly tall man was kicking a much scrawnier man lying on the floor, unmoving, unfazed by the two police officers pointing their weapons at him. The tall man continued to swing his boot into the man's stomach. It was only then that Lee saw the man's face. Of course, WWII was the tall man's name, a landlord. Lee had never met the man, but he knew enough to know that he had influence over the city. Bai walked away from the scene, disgusted, but he walked. Judging from the lack of reaction, Yi knew that he was invincible to the police. He was right. The orders from above were to ignore the unsolvables when it came to the landlords, unless one wanted to find themselves unemployed. All he could do was look on as each bone-cracked kick was delivered. One day, it would be different. One day, nobody would be allowed the law. But not now. Lee gave a short bow and left. Something has to give. Okay, so we've looked the other way. Do we need other more events on here? Flatten the soil, old connections. You know what? Sure. Let's do some old connections. They're only 21 days as well, so they go pretty fast. But again, I'm hoping that, you know, for the channel, that everybody has just has a good time. Let's have fun here. And we might end up streaming later, because again, this is going to be going live on the day that I'm recording this. We might end up streaming later as well. I don't know what we're going to stream though. Probably not Hoi 4, but we'll see. We'll see. Planning speed, that sounds great to me. I kind of want to stream some Balatro. I don't know if that's crazy or not. Expand steel huts in Guangzhou. Sounds great. Ethiopia's defeated the Amoro Liberation Front. Congratulations to them. The exploitation. For 60 days, factory output goes down. We lose some guns. As exploited mining low. I mean, that doesn't sound great. I mean, we get steel for worse factories. I mean, we're at 17 construction units, which actually is, I think, pretty good for Yunnan, I would have to say. You know, we're on, like, level 1. You know, we're looking pretty good there. Construction units, credit units, or production units. But I think we're looking pretty good. And rewards for the meek. Guards of Luhan, the ones he specifically picked from the best and the most faithful troops from his personal bodyguards, were waiting for the man to dress up. It is essential to have the men that you can trust at your side. Moreover, today was the day that Luhan would have to face many different officers and collaborators of the army. With the threats of insurgency being almost ubiquitous, Lee has to have his men loyal and tamed as ever. For this, he must get ready to listen to their excuses, their problems, and their lies. Military officers downstairs are waiting for him, speaking between each other about bandits that they had fought yesterday, complaining about their wives, and worrying, or for some, getting excited about what Liu Han would say to them. When Master Lu stepped inside the conference room with a smile rested upon his wrinkled lips, yet it emanated an uncanny aura. The officers held their breath and started saluting the master, so he started speaking. Proud boys of our army, I have heard a lot of rumors surrounding us about the insurgency, a resistance going around in our lands. As we believe there's nothing but lies to create chaos in our army. But still I assure you to be mindful of any troubles. In the case of something critical, I want you to report them directly to me. Master Lu said, against a crowd staring against him with full focus and distrustful faces. Oh, drop your cold approach. One of the reasons I have called each of you here today is to reward your deeds to Yunnan, said Lu Han with a smirk. He made a move to call the servants to bring a case full of medals, and started awarding them to his officers. They had not been expecting this, but they were joyful about the situation. The crowd of officers started applauding Master Lu. With the award ceremony over, he asked the officers to move to a table with a map on it, and began to draw lines to give the best officers a piece of land to their own, with many other gifts such as giving them an increase in their salaries. Much as he was repulsed by giving them many offerings, the loyalty of his men was the utmost concern to him right now. Okay, so What do we want to take then for our next focus? We have new friends. It means I mean, more political power is good. Like, I'm not gonna say no to more political power. The lot asked has passed. Congratulations to them. I mean, do we want to exploit though? Like, do we actually need resources? What resources do we not have? We need -3 consumer goods. We need like a 1 rubber. But I don't think there's anything we can really do to get rubber, right? Yeah, so I think honestly all these exploitations for minerals don't do anything for us. Like nothing useful at least. So we're kind of just like banking our political power, but again, like what are we banking it for? There's not really anything that's like, yeah, we're really saving up for this thing. I mean, maybe we're just saving it for an emergency, you know? Or we're saving it for the next government so that when there is a coup, things can move very, very, very quickly. Now, we might actually need to finish this focus tree in order to actually have the coup strike. My only thought for why it would maybe happen earlier than this is because it has that all is well modifier, which usually means something can go poorly. But I don't know what it could be. I mean, there is a Japanese economic crisis, but I think that already happened, right? Like, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think I am. What do we want to build? Do we want to build, like, aircraft? Thing is, our fighters suck. Our planes are not good. But I want you above the trucks, so I want that to, making 2 planes a month. I mean, it's not good. It's not good by any means, but I mean, I guess 2 planes is better than 0 planes. So we'll kind of have to just take it. Economic ties. I mean, it looks good. Heavy protections with strategic tariffs. Okay, yeah, we'll go with some economic ties with China as well. And new friends. The red phone on Luhan's desk rang violently. He picked it up, uncertain of who could be calling him so early. Governor Liu of Yunnan speaking. Good morning, Mr. Liu. And the mild voice behind the telephone cable belonged to none other than President Gao. It's the president. I'd like to ask you about the state of development in Yunnan. Li pinched the bridge of his nose, a silent sigh escaping his lips. Nanqing always had an expectation of expectation after expectation of its far-flung governors. He could only hope Gao would not be as unreasonable as some of the other members of the so-called reorganized government had been previously. A pleasure, Mr. Gao. With the recent unification of Southwest under my governorship, great work has been done to integrating the economies of Yunnan and Guangzhou. Local businesses and trade is booming. Meanwhile, my recent schemes to improve Yunnan's roads and to expand the mining industry are also bearing fruit. Good. I expect this growth to be sustained and for your government to continue directing the economy of Yunnan towards modernity. A little pause. And I'm willing to allocate more funding to your province, should you succeed in delivering results. Lu Hans thinly smiled to himself. Thank you. But we also need funding in order to continue development. And the landlords and companies with the, which are overseeing the mineral boom and the capital for their ventures too. To earn money, we must first spend it. Of course, if you were so generous to give Xenon a chance, well, I would be deeply gracious, no? Gao curtly chuckled. Yes, and we will all benefit. I see your point. Very well, your progress does seem promising, so perhaps I could trust you with a budget increase. I'll speak to my ministers. The fine art of diplomacy. The art of the deal, baby. The art of the deal. Okay. What do we want to research? Critical resource gain plus 10%. But again, that doesn't really do anything for us. We could go for synthetic refineries, give an extra +2 rubber. Which, I mean, actually would be nice. You know what? Let's get that going. I mean, how long would it take for me to even build a... 1450. How long will this take? December 9th, 1965. Actually, not that long. That's actually not that unreasonable. Democracy's returned to Italy. Congratulations to the Italians. There's so many countries that I want to play in New Order. It's kind of crazy. Like, you know, I want to play Brazil. I want to play Italy. If you got to play as the Antarctic colonies, like, I think that that would probably be the next series. But after that, like, I'm trying to think, like, who else is there? I mean, Britain, I've heard, has good content. Ukraine has some good content, from what I know. And we still have to do Mexico that I did abandon. I will admit it did get abandoned, but we're not abandoning Yunnan. I know, I think the series technically started like 2 months ago at this point, like November of 24. But, if you look past that, and we have to play Guangdong again. Can I right click? I have to right click. Okay. Like there's so many lovely, lovely trees that we want to get played here. Tame the land, heed their advice. Let's get some better forced labor. We love labor here. And we can deploy the first plane in the Yunnan Air Force. Hell yeah. How many planes does the Republic of China have? I mean, we're in a faction together, so we should be able to see the number. They have 0. Japan has 3.2 thousand. Okay, so as long as we know how to fight the Japanese Air Force, then we should be golden. Now, problem with that is you'll almost certainly have to fight the Japanese Air Force. So I don't know how much these planes will actually do for us in the long run. But in the short run, they can make us feel good about ourselves. Air accident chance. I mean, that could be useful. Let's get to more infantry upgrades. I think now, because again, being as Yunnan and eventually probably being the National Revolutionary Army, we are going to actually have to fight a war, which is a little rare in TNO, I will admit. It doesn't happen every day that you have to end up actually fighting another country. But we will have to do it here. So, I know we're missing. We lost some production units. It's not a big deal. Consumer goods are at 0. We're down to 15, unfortunately. Replace mild corruption with governance of friends. Administration efficiency will slowly worsen. You know what? That sounds good. Let's get a government of friends. We can all be friends here. So let's take a look at Indonesia for a second. Because we have the Republic of Indonesia. Again, we're kind of like pro-America on this. Because we're anti-Japan. Now, is the United States going to win this war? No, they're not. Like, that's never, ever, ever going to happen. Because I can't imagine the American AI is that good. I mean, they've been losing every single conflict. They lost in the UK. They lost in South Africa. They did win in Malaysia. I will give them that. But aside from that, I think they're kind of screwed. Okay, Germany has declared war on the Baltics. And again, we want to just making our we want to make our units as good as we possibly can. Very, very, very important for us. What else is happening in the world? I mean, we have some time to take some peeks around. I mean, the Soviets look like they're doing okay. The Komi Soviet is completely encircled. Probably not going to be great for them. But at the same time, Samara might just not have the ability to do anything. Wait, Armenia declare war on Turkey? I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Huh. The Zealot makes his rounds. Today, Zhang was ready for his monthly job after finishing his various college lectures and duties. Paying a visit to the platform that sent training from Kunming to Haiphong, he sent a group of volunteers on board to their destination, Vietnam. According to Zhang's organization, Vietnam is in need of Uni's volunteers for the purpose of furthering the cause of Pan-Asianism. With Zhang's fluent in Japanese, the officers had no reason to doubt him, happily giving him the tickets that he needed. But that was not his only mission. Another train was on its way to Kunming, coming in at a different platform, and he was responsible for taking away the cargo that had been sent to him. Inside the cargo was supplies needed for his peers in the organization that he ran. The average observer believed that it was merely Zhang being very generous to the students and staff as always. Even that wasn't the end of Zhang's work. There was somebody that he had to greet. Yet another platform. A passenger that came off the train and shook his hand. Exchanging greetings and letters, they left the station together, going to the NSAU library to share thoughts and experience. Obviously, no one would doubt that given Zhang's identity, Wang Zheyu was waiting for them in the library. Zhang and his companion seemed to expect this. As they're entering a private room owned by a student society, Zhang ensured that no one would sneak in. The door was locked and the window was blocked. Before Zhang turned to exchanging secret signs and gestures to those already in the room. Signs and gestures known only to the underground cadres of the Communist Party. Heavens, there really is more to this man than we thought. Zhang. Whatever will we do with you? Now again, the communists have like no power in Yunnan, right? We basically crushed them and the bandits beneath our boots, right? Because what are they at? I mean, I guess we can crush them a little bit. Let's focus a little bit more on the communist. Is there anything else? Reduce CCP power. Effectiveness against the NRA. Yeah, let's reduce all to the bandits. I mean, we have the political power, so let's do it anyways. Okay, so next up, let's go. Because I think we have to now take taming the land. And the Zealots' plan. The revolution was not long from coming, Zheng said to his occasional visitor from Nanjing. How can you be so sure, the visitor said. Well, it's quite simple, Wang replied. From what we've been able to gather from our underground network, Long Yun has joined the NPA and is waiting for the perfect moment to pull Lu Han down from his throne. Of course, that means war with the puppet regime and the Japanese imperialist. The visitor nodded. You must really be busy then, Professor Zhang. Zhang let out a breath. You're right, sir. Since then, Mr. Wang and I have been really busy. I even abandoned part of my part of his teaching duties. We've been recruiting every dissident that we can find to expand the moon's base. We're also planning to contact resistance in Sichuan and notify them to stay prepared for the inevitable. I've been preparing to send them all the resources that we have collected from Vietnam so far. Wayne took up the conversation. We're also secretly conveying to Long Yun and the NPA that the CPC remnants are willing to fight under Long's banner with the same goal of China's liberation. Given a general sympathy towards them and a familiarity with their higher-ups, this shouldn't take too much effort. Of course, there's always some things that can only be shared with the NPA once the situation is stabilized. Zhang ended the discussion. But for now, these will suffice. The visitors smiled widely. Some days later, Zhang's guest was at the station. Zhang and Wang were there to bid him farewell. We will see you someday, sir. Make sure to tell the madame to wait for the good news. With pleasure, the visitor had said. And in good company. How are you all enjoying yourself? I hope. Thank you very much for the gift, by the way. Do keep well now. No, I haven't forgotten. Remind me later so that we can talk more about it. Yes? Oh, excuse me. Lil, come here. There's someone that you simply must meet. It was through the smiling murmurs of the invitees in response to his brisk flattering that Lu Han knew that hosting the party had been worth his time. In attendance were several of his ministers, a gaggle of warlords and landlords from across the province, and even some businessmen, representatives of the company that lay across the border of China. They have all gathered there in celebration of Z9's revival, a miracle of the Southwest, proving that the province can stand, not as some glorified fiefdom afforded independence by Nanjing, but as its own 2 feet, as a proper part of the sphere, an event that even Lu was sure to commemorate. Wandering away from the bustle of the party with a drink in his hand, to take the night air for a moment. Lu Han couldn't help but look back at the assembled men and smile self-assuredly. Yunnan had become a powerhouse that was fully realized for its own worth and capabilities. One that Japan could learn to rely on. Lu Han was the master of the Southwest, and he wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. Truly, what did he have for fear of his enemies nowadays? The ragged remains of the NRA in the hills? Certainly, they would have fallen far too low to be anything more than be a pack of roving dogs. The idea almost made Lu Han laugh. Gazing out over the cover of night, the radiant moon burned against it. It felt as though Yunnan was coming to an end of a chapter of violence. Soon they would be freed of the petty conflicts of bandits and they continued on a secured path, even if it was one where the stones were paid by Japan. His predecessors would have balked at such an idea. Kai would surely be spinning his grave at the idea at all, and Lu knew all too well of his cousin Long Yun's disapproval of his methods. Regrettable though it was. But in the end, it was Lu Han who was at the top, and not them. Pondering victory in the night, Lu Han drank deeply. I'm sure that Lu Han will have a great time. Certainties are acting, everybody's going to be getting a little bit more powerful, that's A-okay. And again, I don't think there's any reason to do these middle exploitations, because it just seems like they penalize you. Because like we get more materials, and I mean that's great and all. But I don't think we have that many buyers, which is not fantastic. Like how many economy trade? Like we're not like exporting any aluminum. We're barely exporting any chromium. We're barely exporting any tungsten. Like nobody's really buying our stuff. Unfortunately. Which is a real shame. For sure. I don't know if there's anything that we can do. Can I, like, sell it for cheaper? I don't know if there's anything that we can do. Can I, like, sell it for cheaper? 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 Can I, like, sell it for che Like, if I want to, let's say, yeah, you. Click to increase our weekly export tungsten by 10 units. Also auto balance, so that's fine. So it's 1 per 10, but again, nobody's importing, which is just sad for us. The midnight robbery. The only sounds that filled the air were those of the local wildlife. The bandit turned soldiers of the NRA waited around the road for a shipment to arrive. A truck full of Japanese weapons and equipment were due to be delivered to the Burmese. Their mission was simply to intercept it, prevent the Japanese from bolstering their own garrisons, and to supply the NRA with more weapons to be used in the liberation of China. As the sound of the truck came into range, the NRA soldiers prepared themselves. When the optimal time arrived, they sprung into action. The ensuing flight was bloody as it was swift. In order to prevent any witnesses from reporting what happened to the Japanese, not a single person was spared from the NRA's wrath. When the fighting had finished, the soldiers disposed of the bodies by rolling them down the militant side. The insurgents commandeered the trucks and delivered the shipment to the NRA. This raid was far from unique. Each night, several NRA teams conducted similar operations, stealing supplies, blowing up railways, assassinating local officials, all with the aim of either disrupting the Japanese or to strengthen the NRA position. While in isolation, each incident would be a relatively small blow to Japanese power in the region, excuse me, they quickly added up to an executable disruption of the Japanese hegemony. And every night, more operations are carried out to the last. Soon, we will reach a tipping point. Hell yeah, we will. Hell yeah. Let's go, brothers. How much longer do we have on our focus? I mean, it should be done pretty soon. Yeah, we've got like a week left on you. Alliance in West Africa. How is that alliance looking? I mean, it seems like a pretty weak one, no? Sokoto. I mean, but like Sokoto is not socialist, so they'll probably end up joining the West African Alliance because again, Sokoto has no, love for the Cameroonians. Germany is conquering more land. That is not a surprise, I think, to anybody. And I think, yeah, Germany basically just had a complete resurgence. I'm like, who's in charge? Is it Bormann? Yeah, it's Bormann. But I feel like they've done pretty well for themselves. I mean, again, they won in England. They'll probably end up fighting against Burgundy at some point, too. I don't know exactly when that'll happen, but it will happen. The Starlechlers won in Auschland. And Identity. Thumbling through antique photographs of her husband, Madame Sun Yat-sen ignored the constant ring of the telephone of her desk. The collaborator government had become more insistent with time, almost desperate in her demanding of her affirmation that they were the true heirs of Dr. Sun's legacy. But nonsense. She had stopped picking up the phone altogether. Her other correspondence all came via telegram or letter, so it mattered little. She squinted at the photos. Many had been captured during the time of Grand Marshal and leader of the Kuomintang in Guangzhou. But a few even predated even Jinhai. Those were images of him in his true self, the revolutionary and idealist that she had known. They all, though, were decades old, many blurred and distorted due to the primitive technologies of the time and the wearing of age. To say Dr. Sun Yat-sen was a great man would be a tremendous understatement, but his ideas, like his photos, had faded and been corrupted over the 40 years since his death. The Kuomintang had moved far away from the revolutionary original ideas and intentions, and though she detested the way that they had fallen from grace, neither would she herself seek to stand solidly in her husband's shadow. She had her own vision, one of equality and freedom for all under China, for the people and for the workers. In a nation that was to rise in the ashes, a new political movement would have to rise alongside it. There would never be another Madame Sun Yat-sen. There would only be Song Xinling from then on. Okay, we'll see how... Okay, so the NPA is also at 100% power. And Li Qiu. A chilly wind blew through the parks as Long Yun and Lu Han walked through the orange leaves and dying light of the sun as it sank slowly beneath the horizon. Some distance behind were their bodyguards, ever alert for rogue elements, even in the relatively peaceful place. Though nowhere was ever truly peaceful these days. Lu Han turned his head and had noticed a small crater, pooling water and withering stems, just to the left of the track. He stopped and watched it for a moment. Well, can never get away from the war, can they? Even here, reach the grenades and the bombs. Though Lu Han had meant it as a passing comment, for some reason it seemed to agitate his cousin considerably. Long Yun made as if to say something, stopped, and then turned his face the vivid red sunset. After watching it wordlessly, he said, "What do you see there?" It's an odd question. Night was quickly falling, and the thin coats that they both wore were not enough to keep the ever-increasing chill. Or keep out the ever-increasing chill. Just before the sun dipped entirely out of view, Lu Han responded, "How far away we are from home?" In Jiaotong in the mountains, entirely blocked by the sunset. The rest of the journey, they walked in silence. The bodyguards suggested a different route home than they usually took, as the extra precaution. So Lu Han was left alone to ponder what he had meant by the question. Was it philosophical? Moral? As a senior in both years of experience, as a leader of men, Long Yun often tried to play the teacher. The open-ended riddles were usually part of that. But this seemed different, simpler. There was no one on the streets that evening as he reached home, bidding his protection farewell. Still, none the wiser is what he was supposed to have said. When the bodyguard reached home, his duties had not yet ended. There was a package delivered for the men hiding in the mountains. As he had braced himself against the weather, it suddenly struck him. A simple, literal truth. But the whole truth nonetheless. And there was no wonder that Lu Han had failed to realize. The sun is setting, and in comes the winter. And with that, I think it's going to be a good time for us to end this episode. If you enjoyed, thumbs up. Now, you can click thumbs down. I'll see you next time, and goodbye.